Hey guys, what's up? BC back again with another video. This time it is going to be a very different version of BC Talks. This time around it's not going to be a live stream because I am here with...
Hey people.
I'm so used to calling him Jedimus in the videos. I don't know what he goes by now, but... Yeah, I'm here at his place this weekend, and... I've been relatively busy, in case you couldn't tell. I've got a lot of things that are still in my backlog that I will be getting to, trust me. In fact, this is going to be the beginnings of what will be the Bruticus check-in, because I got a lot of stuff that I need to go into with that. Also, I'm kicking myself in the butt because I went to my cousin's today and I checked on some of my stuff and I didn't even think to pull double cross out to have him next to Grotesque and Repugnus. So yeah, at some point I gotta figure that out. But anyways, that's it kind of helps me to segue into a topic I wanted to bring up for discussion, and I'm hoping that we can get an actual little quote-unquote debate out of it. But the challenges of a display, and this is something I felt needed to be brought up just in general, because there are a lot of people that would love to get into this kind of thing but do not know what to display or how to display it. And it definitely, like, you know, Jedimus over here can definitely testify with, especially when it comes to me, I'm very picky about how I display my stuff.
You have no idea how picky he is.
Because of the fact that, like, I actually used to be way worse. I'm a lot better about it now, but just...
That's believable.
How do I put this? The general idea of this is all mostly G1 right here, and then we got Beast Wars right here, even though he's from Power of the Primes, but that's besides the point. And we got movie stuff on this table as well. This is an absolute gargantuan mess. You could probably see it from this side of the room. It's an absolute mess, so whatever, it's no big deal. Have fun. Anyway, so a major question I've ever been asked is where do you start with a collection? And like, how would you answer that question? Like, from a display standpoint, how would you answer that?
Well, for me personally, if to display things, I would probably start with the ones that kind of mean more to me or have my attention more than others. Kind of like the focal point or points for the display. Okay,
so like in this instance, like if you were to set up shelves right now to put things on display, the two as of right now that would definitely be the shining stars of the collection would be Masterpiece Movie Barricade and Masterpiece Movie VWB.
Yeah. And if you can't really tell, Bumblebee's flipping off Barricade.
He insisted on doing it, and I'm like, you know what? It's BC Talks. We're gonna get a little fucking rowdy on this anyway. So
just be happy it's not being pointed at the camera.
Yeah, and again, this is BC Talks. This is not meant to be a kid-friendly video. So if you do happen to be under the age of 13, shut this off.
Walk the bleep away.
Exactly. Walk away. Walk away. Don't even risk it. I mean, I'm glad that you're dedicated, but walk away. Just walk away.
Much.
Anyways, honestly, for me, my whole thing on it is if you're gonna do the collection, try to be somewhat organized about it.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, say for, like, this is just kind of a garbled mess right here. Because most of what's here is Power of the Primes. There's one that's Siege and one that's Titan's Return. But you get the point. Like, this is this conglomeration would never be on the same shelf with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just we're gonna put that out there right now. Just absolutely not. I highly doubt that's gonna fit in his hand, dude. Oh, it actually did. Well, how are you then?
Don't ask why I did that. I have no idea either.
Well, hey, that's giving me ideas now. But anyways, that's past the point. A big thing that I would definitely recommend for a display is making sure that everything matches, making sure everything is where it should be, not where you feel it should be. Now, of course, it is your collection. You can display it however you wish. Just how I display stuff, I am strictly, if it's a movie toy, it goes on the movie shelf. If it is a classics, if it's a Chug figure in any way, shape, or form, it goes on the Chug shelf. If it's a cartoon figure, it goes on the cartoon shelf. Like, for instance, with, and another thing that I want to bring up real quick is, when you're displaying stuff, like, when the collection gets to the point where it's big, like, for instance, me, I used to display my stuff where the figures would have a designated pose to it. Now, whenever you see me put stuff up on a shelf, they're literally standing there, shoulder to shoulder, eyes looking forward, and, like, just there's no dynamicism to it. Which is hysterical because whenever there's a missing joint on a figure, I'll sit there and I'll harp about it, even though I know for a fact that once I'm done playing with it, I'm putting it on the shelf and I'm never touching it again. So, like, do you have, like, what would your standpoint on that be, like, when, like, keeping a sense of order within the collection, like, do you feel that that's important, or do you feel that that really shouldn't matter?
It's important to a degree, but I can see how some people would go way overboard with it.
Okay, fair enough. And another aspect that we would really have to hit this on the nail with is, what's the fucking term I'm looking for? When you're doing, like, like the size of the figures you're buying. As you all know, size means nothing to me. I will find a way to display it however I see fit. I have, now officially, I have like 5 Titans. And the Titans actually just take up a whole spot of their own because just they're massive. They're big. They're meant to be big. So therefore, it makes absolutely no sense for me to sit here and go, it's a bit too big. When reality of it is, that's how it's supposed to be. So, that's just my outlook on it for the most part. But we'll save that for another day. When it comes to size, always put the smaller guys up front. And I stand by this strongly. I've seen so many collections where for whatever reason they decide to do the big guys up front. And, like, yeah, sure, okay, cool. The big guys have a much more dominant presence because they're bigger. Naturally, they're going to have a more dominant presence. But here's the thing with that. Even a figure significantly smaller could have a much bigger shelf presence than a mediocre figure that happens to be big. Like, for instance, with, kind of to return to what I was talking about real quick, when it comes to size, easily I would have Power of the Prime's Leader Primal standing in the back. But then in front of him, I would have a couple of deluxes. Like, okay, let's put 3 deluxes in front of him, and then kind of yank it back and put Inferno, like, right there. So as you can, you can barely see it, but if I were to zoom in on this real quick, you can see what I'm talking about there. There is a bit of a uniform or a more organized look to that. And that's something I feel really matters in a collection, is making sure everything can display well. And if you feel I'm wrong, feel free to tell me.
I pretty much am agreeing with what he's saying right now.
I mean, I could see how other people would enjoy putting the bigger figures up front. I could definitely see it. But that only really makes sense if you only buy the big figures. If that's all you care about. For instance, if you only buy the Masterpiece figures, the Masterpiece figures are not very small figures unless we're talking the Hisui cars.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, those are Voyager-sized figures easily. So I don't see how that could be a problem. The point is, if you're gonna buy big figures to have them be the dominant force on your shelf, don't get any smaller stuff and put it behind them. It's a waste of money, it's a waste of time. And that brings me to another thing that I need to beat this one into the head of collectors who are displaying their stuff. Economy of space. Coming right back over here. You saw me struggling trying to get Inferno to just fucking stand there. That's because he is a repaint / retool of the Inferno mold. Inferno? Hotspot mold. My fucking dumbass. So, easily, you can already tell how economy of space wise that was a bit of a problem. Because the ladder is literally a tumor that is just hanging off of his back. So therefore, it's not easy to put a figure behind him. But then, flip it. With Optimal Optimus back here. He's got a very dominating shelf presence as far as I'm concerned. However, if there's other figures that are around about his size, I can't really put anybody in front that's taller than the guns, because the guns will literally push them forward. Now with him, I can just as easily pull the guns off, store them on the sides of his leg, done deal. But you have to be able to keep economy of space in mind. Because this can get extremely regurgitated. Regurgitated? Not regurgitated, I'm trying to think of the word. Congested, there we go. A shelf can get extremely congested extremely fast. And because of that, you would have to be able to space everything around and set it up to where it keeps economy of space in mind. It keeps everything in a more uniform pattern. It allows everything to display the way it needs to. As well as just... it helps make it look neat. I guess what we're trying to get through is a collection is only as good as its collector. If you're a collector and you don't this is just me on a personal standpoint. I have no qualms with you on it, but just this is a personal pet peeve of mine. If you're one of those people where you suck at posing figures, or you don't like to pose your figures, and you're only really gonna put them up on a shelf and just leave them there and be done with it, a la me, leave them in the box. Leave them in the box, put them in the closet, or put them on a shelf in the box and be done with it. Because if you're not gonna display them the way I personally feel you should, then what are you doing? And with that said, I feel like there's another part of the topic that I should be going into. Because we pretty much, I pretty much hit the major points to it.
Basically.
I mean, is there anything else you want to add on? Like, just even slightly? Okay.
Make a long story short, don't be an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I realize that that kind of sounds insensitive, but it's really the only other way we can really say it. If you're gonna display, don't be an idiot about it. If you're gonna display the stuff, use your economy of space right, and you can get those impressive displays without having to buy third-party pieces. You can do it easily. You guys have seen my collection. You've seen how neat and organized it looks. I know what I'm doing with these. Granted, the gargled mess that I have right here isn't exactly helping to prove my point, but you get what I'm saying here. If you treat your collection like it's a sense of pride and not a case of you're just trying to find a place to put stuff, like shelf presence matters for a collector. It's got to be one of the number one things for a collector. The shelf presence has to matter. Bearing in mind, I've dipped into third party before. I have done it. In fact, one of my favorite pieces in my collection just so happens to be this. I quite enjoy this figure. I enjoy this figure so much I got it twice. Take a wild guess who else I got. So, with that said, I'm just going to leave this at, if you're going to buy figures and display them right. And as far as ways you can display them to where they quote-unquote look right, well, how do I put this? Make sure you buy shelves that will actually allow you to fully show what they can bring forth as far as a display. Don't, like, there are so many people that I know who literally will buy detolfs just for the sheer sake of throwing something in there and not caring. That's not what the detolf is for. I've seen people who bought bookcases to just stuff stuff in there and never touch it again. And then take that and then spin it around and go back to me. You've seen what I can do when I have a limited amount of shelf space and a crap ton of figures. I make magic happen. Through the use of economy of space, I can make magic happen. I mean, like, Genimus here, again, as my testimony, he's seen how my shelves tend to look. Do they ever look like a gargled mess under any circumstance?
Nope.
Like, and I swear to God, I'm not trying to stroke my ego here. I'm trying to prove a point. Every single time you come into my room and you happen to see my shelves, is there ever a time where you look at my shelves and go, "Oh my God, that is so messy. What is he doing?" No. Every single time you come in, it's like, "Wow, that's really good. That looks cool." And the reason why you get that is because you made it look neat. So if you're gonna do it right. As something that BC has a tendency to say to a specific somebody, not pointing fingers, but do it right the first time or do not do it at all. And with that said, guys, I think I'm going to cut it off right here because, for one, camera's dying. Two, we got Darksiders 3 that we need to play because we're dedicated to that franchise as well. And honestly, I got other things I need to do. So, I'm going to cut this off here. He's been Genimus. I'm the BC. We're both saying stay there and get your geek on. And we will catch you guys next time.